Good evening, everybody. June 2nd. No. If today's Thursday, it's June. No, it's Tuesday. Boy. Have I been a little bit of a mess today? It is June 2nd, June 1st, Tuesday, and this is going to be a late edition. I'm going to do a video. Hopefully, it won't get too long because it's going to be a two-parter. One is I got to the end of. Hold on. I got to the end of chapter 2 of American Cozy, and she puts 10 on the spot tension tamers. These are basically quick little things to help ease tension. The first one is take a walk. I'm not even going to have to explain that one because, I learned, and a lot of people who do take a walk every so often have learned that just a simple walk around your block or a short walk around your area does a lot to basically help ease tension and open up, just get your mind off things, and it also helps activates nerves in your brain to help cause a sense of relaxation, raise endorphins and natural dopamines and whatnot. Second one is basically she puts it as excuse me, my sinus has been active all day. Look out a window or gaze at a fish tank for just 5 minutes during a busy day, whether it's office work or at home chores or just your day's been kind of busy. She says that certain studies have shown that just taking a few minutes to look out a window or watch the fish in a fish tank, get away from fast-moving images or household chores or work and whatnot. Just that minute to look out the window to help you slow down. Giving you time to breathe and relax and slow your mind down, kind of gives your brain like a mini vacation because you've taken your mind off of what's going around you by, like today. We got done doing a lot of work in the house. And I was doing that video for what we did. We finally got done purging clothing items and whatnot in our room. So now we can move forward to the next step. But we were sitting down relaxing and looked at our Arcadia window, our big window in the sitting room or living room area, and got to see our foxes again. So it was like, yay. Then she goes to say, sniff lavender. The aroma of lavender oil is found to slow the activity of the nervous system, improving sleep, tranquility, and promotes relaxation. Lift the mood and reduce anxiety. And then she goes to say that in Germany, they actually make a lavender tea, basically taking the lavender flowers and using them in a tea for insomnia, restlessness, and nervous stomach. I did not know that. Out of all the things I've studied with herbal remedies, I never thought about the benefits of why there's always been lavender in teas like sleepy time tea or tension tamer tea. There's always some form of lavender in it. And I went, why lavender? Who eats lavender? But hey, that's probably why certain countries or certain parts of the world, lavender is like a big deal. You used to be able to find all over your fields, just nothing but naturally growing lavender throughout the countryside. Another thing she talks about is sniffing vanilla. The vanilla bean's aroma is scientifically proven to elevate feelings of joy and relaxation. And I went, okay. Maybe that's one of the reasons why every time I smell vanilla when we're making pancakes, we add a little bit of vanilla extract into the pancakes. And the smell is just one of those joyful smells. Then she has one here called Happiness is a Warm Puppy. And I went, what? And I had to read it. And she goes to say that cuddling with your favorite pet, whether it's a puppy, kitten, bunny, or other beloved pet, research has found that the human brain releases relaxing endorphins and serotonin in the presence of a pet. No wonder most pet owners seem to be very happy-go-lucky type people and are very relaxed. Of course, I do remember the joys of having a pet. Then she has two different ones, and I'm just gonna go with the first one. And the first one is called "Listen to Waves," and she's talking about the sound of the ocean waves lapping against the coastline or the shore or whatnot. It blocks out a lot of excess noise. It's a natural white noise. Basically, it's a natural sound that basically drowns out unnecessary volume of other sounds. And then she goes to say, or listen to rain or a babbling brook. Well, when I was going through my self-help stages, trying to find my happiness in the middle of chaos that I was going through in my teens, the sound of ocean, I don't know why, but it's not as relaxing to me as some other people. The sound of the ocean is not relaxing. I don't know why. I can't explain why. But the sound of rain on a tin roof or in the middle of the woods or the sound of a babbling brook, it used to relax me to the point of falling asleep. So I used to have a CD player, and I had three different CDs. One was just various rain or thunderstorms. For some reason, thunderstorms actually put me to sleep. But the sound of the rain and the thunder in the background helped me relax my brain enough to fall asleep. Or I would listen to, I had a CD that had three different versions of babbling brooks or streams with nature sounds. And then I had one that was just pure nature sounds. The whole CD was an hour long, and it had like the babbling brook, crickets, frogs, birds, a howling wolf in the background, owls, a hawk overhead, just various different natural sounds. And it was literally called A Walk Through the Woods. And that's basically what it was. Literally, within an hour, they had like day to night type, the different changes in daytime to nighttime sounds in the woods. And I used to love it. Then she goes to say here, play Mozart or any favorite classical composer. In 2007, studies of various patients published in Critical Core Medicine found that those who listened to sonatas by Mozart showed to reduce the need for pain medication, lower blood pressure, and lower levels of stress hormones. I never really listened to Mozart. I did like Beethoven and Bach. Why, I don't know. Then she goes to put in that number 9 out of 10 is basically just a simple stretch. A quick stretch done at any time you feel stressed can leave you feeling at ease. This makes sense when you consider that stress can reduce blood flow to the brain and body, including muscles. When blood flow is reduced, we're left feeling foggy, irritable, and cramped. Stretching improves circulation to the brain and body, allowing us to feel relaxed and comfortable. I never understood why every time I stretched, I felt a little bit better. Now I know why. And the last one out of the 10 that she has in here is smile. Just smile. The feel good dopamine, endorphins, and serotonin are all released when we smile, helping us helping to relieve stress and lower blood pressure. If this sounds overly simplified, studies have shown the validity of smiling away stress. I didn't know that. Um, but the last sentence or the last thing she has in here is coziness begins with how you feel. Something you have a large amount of control over. Do what you can to give yourself the gift of calm, and you'll be able to create Hagi wherever you go. I think that's quite, pertinent information because, I mean, if we can master calmness, if we can master our stresses and not let them get to us, we can keep happy and calm no matter where we go. We literally bring our own Hagi with us. Which is kind of like, yeah, that would be great, The more I have control over my calmness, the more likelihood I won't have any stresses, or I won't let stress take over the day or take over the moment. So, hey, every bit of information to deal with stress is very useful. It's how and it's like we can literally sit there and read 100 books about mastering stress, whether it's meditation, yoga, going out into the woods, Nordic Hagi, Danish Hagi, American Cozy, whatever. It's how we take that information and use it to our benefits to make things more calm and collective. Because once you master calm, you can master just about anything on the face of the planet. Because calm is not just mastering your fears of something. It's mastering how you react to a trigger, whether it's something that most people would freak out and run away from, which I learned, don't run from predators because most of the time that triggers that instinct of, oh, it must be prey because it's running away. Let's chase it and eat it type situations. Or, oh, you're trying to teach your young chef who wants to learn how to cook, your child or niece, nephew, whatever, who wants to learn how to cook and has come to your house to learn, and oops, an accidental fire happens. Mastering how you keep calm in that situation so, one, you don't freak out the child, and the child becomes unstable because of the accidental fire and becomes overly apologetic. You have to master how you deal with your situations, which is mastering your calm. The better you have a handle of your stressors and your calmness, the better you have a chance of mastering teaching a young person how to cook and dealing with fires. Because most kids will instantaneously think, ooh, fire, throw water on it. Not a good thing with a grease fire. You have to learn how to teach them to either put a lid on it and let it smother itself, or throw baking soda or flour on top of it so it smothers the flames. It's how you deal with certain situations. Now, most people might think your way of mastering calm, which is your own way, is becoming dead to the world. No. You can have a great time and be, a great person and have a calm situation in the middle of what some people would consider a hectic situation. It doesn't mean you're numb to the world or dead to the world or whatever. It means you have a mastery or control over yourself and how you deal with a given situation. The next chapter, which I will probably start either tomorrow or Thursday morning, is chapter 3, which is Cozy Spaces, cleaning out the clutter. Now, I'm just going to, without going into reading it, we're already starting to master our clutter around this house. We got our closet done in our bedroom. There's plenty of space for whatever. There's just some minor picking up and cleaning on my dresser and my nightstand, basically. But the clutter of, excessive clothing or excessive just possessions in the room has been dealt with. Granted, some of it which we need to go through and decide if we're going to keep it or put it in a different room. Certain pieces of furniture or decor are in other places. I had this pile of clothing, which you can barely see the top of in the bottom corner. In this bottom corner down here somewhere. down there. You see the top of a plastic bag. 3 more bags worth of clothing added to the pile of yard sale or consignment shop destinations. Yes, this room is a little cluttered right now, but because this is kind of like we don't have a storage facility to put all the stuff into until we're done remodeling and removing and rearranging. But I'm gonna love reading this chapter because it's basically cleaning out the clutter, which we are working on. Thank God. That is the American Cozy part of tonight's little video. The other part is I had a new subscriber come to me and ask me whereabouts my ancestry comes from, because her family and ancestry comes from Sweden. Well, I'm going to tell you what my Ancestry.com DNA results told me, and then why I got spurred into studying Nordic, the Vikings and the Nordic lifestyles and just all the things about the Nordic nations. As I've said before, there are 5 Nordic nations still thriving, and well, they're not as they were in ancient times, but Iceland, Finland, Norway, Sweden, and Denmark are all Nordic nations. And according to my studies and my research and the use of the DNA.com information, it showed up in the DNA results as for the Nordic nations is Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. So my ancestors came from those 3 Nordic nations. Granted, I also have a mixture of Scots, Irish, British, German. Yeah. So basically I have the Nordic nations, Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. Then I have Ireland, Scotland, Britain, and Germany. And I love the way the Ancestry.com shows you where all the different areas are and what your percentages are and all that fun stuff. But that kind of, when I got that DNA test 2 years ago, and at first I was kind of like, okay, I already knew about those places. And then they sent me an update. They send you an update every so often with more information about, what they found in your DNA. And like within a month of the first initial DNA results, there was a secondary results that started showing the Nordic nations, and I just kind of went, okay. And I started studying the histories and the various different cultural information and the ancestral lifestyle of the Nordic people, and that's when I got into reading. I started reading books like the Book of Viking Myths, the Eddas, which is various stories about different people or different events. I haven't gotten any sagas. I really want to get my hands on a couple sagas, which are like the sagas of Leif Erikson, the sagas of Eric the Red, the sagas of Ragnar Lothbrok. But this one book right here, The Study of the Havanal, it is basically not really a religious text. And the reason why I like this is because it gives you the original words in the original language and then 3 different English translations. But it's basically Old Norse to, it's basically, best way I can describe it is the words of Odin himself passed down to mankind. And they're words of wisdom. They're not like, this is what you have to do. It's not like the Bible. It's nowhere near a Bible. And then, of course, I started watching History Channel, the various different History Channel series about the Vikings, whether it was the Vikings, the original Vikings, which is the story of Ragnar Lothbrok and his children or his kids. And there's a couple other different ones. I haven't started watching them, but some people are like, oh, if you're interested in Vikings, you should watch this or that. And they're all either history based or loosely based on history. But yeah, because of the Ancestry.com kit, I got extremely interested in my Viking parts of my ancestral lineage or bloodline or however you want to put it. I still want to get into, I mean, we know more about the Germans. We know more about the Irish and the Scots and the Brits. It's the Norsemen. And I prefer using the term Norsemen when describing the people, because if you know the language or the meanings behind words, Norsemen are the people of old world of Scandinavia before it broke down into Iceland, Finland, Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. But Viking is actually a verb meaning to go raiding or pirating. But yeah, it's because of the DNA kit that I started going, interesting. See, my mom's side of the family, she can trace her lineage all the way back to, well, the farthest back that I know about that she's told me about was a general in the war cabinet for Robert de Bruce. So we had somebody who related to that basically either knew or worked for Robert de Bruce during his campaign to win Scotland's freedom. So that was kind of like, yeah, okay, I know somebody. I know somebody who knows somebody who's famous, or related to somebody who knew somebody who's famous. So that, I mean, her side of the family is easy to follow because the information is easier to follow. And through her ancestral information, I know through mom that we're definitely Scottish, Irish, British, and German. So, being the DNA result also talks about being Norwegian, Swedish, and Danish, or a Dane, I figured that was from dad's side of the family. But my father's side of the family, his records are very, very difficult to follow because changes in names, changes in spelling of names, various different issues that may have occurred in our ancestral past because of various things. That, in fact, are a lot of families who are coming from the Nordic nations. The names were similar, and so they had to alter some of the spellings of the last name because of the similarities without being actually related to each other. So I've discovered that Henson, Henson, which is my father's last name, there was Henderson, Hanson, Hendrickson. There's a whole lot of different spellings with the last three letters S-O-N. So because of the very large variety of sons at the end of a lot of Northern European names, Henson had to be like thrown in there just to separate something at Ellis Island. So a lot of the information ends basically at the turn of the century, not turn of the century, but more like the 1800s, early 1800s, when the mass migration of European people coming over here to help settle America. So I'm not sure how far into Europe I can trace my lineage because of lack of records, basically. So on my dad's side of the family, it's a lot of research with equal amounts, if not more, deciphering what information I can get my hands onto. So it's one of those like, I can trace my dad's side of the family to the frontier days. I can trace my dad's side of the family to, well, here's an interesting part of my family that I was able to trace. After the Civil War ended, a number of people from the South who, I don't know if it was from the South or what the deal was, but a number of people were disenfranchised by what happened during the Civil War. And after the war, they couldn't really make a living because, well, a lot of the Southern Army people who fought against the Union were basically out of a job. They had no means of income or worthy means of income because of the whole issue. Um, we don't know exactly what part they had partaken in before the Civil War. Like, I could not trace any of my dad's side of the family in anything that had to do with ownership of black people. Um, in fact, I think what little information I did get about a couple members of the Contrail gang was they weren't landowners, so they didn't have servants or anything like that. But because they were south of a certain border, they got inducted into the south of the Confederate Army. Um, which is basically back then you had a choice: be part of the army or be considered an outlaw. But anyhow, the story goes that after the Civil War, several members of the Contrail gang, which we think were my dad's side of the family thinks were related to, or a couple people joined the Contrails because they were all army buddies, basically back during the Civil War. And the Contrail gang were known for basically being horse thieves. They weren't known for anything more than just stealing stuff. Somehow got wound up getting involved with Jesse James and his crew. And we know Jesse James was more than just a thief. He was also, I think he was guilty of murder or a few other different things like that. So we know enough about our family to know that they were part of the Contrail gang. And the running joke that my parents started was during the same time frame, my mom's great 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 grandfather was um, a judge right here in Rolla, Missouri. What back then I don't know if it was called Rolla, but he was a hanging judge for this area of Missouri. And being Rolla is the capital for Phelps County, Missouri, and I don't know what the counties looked like way back then, but her great great grandfather was known for hanging a number of the Contrail gang members. So the running gag was that my mom's great 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 grandfather hung members of my father's family from back in those days, and I just kind of went, kind of sounds weird and sadistic, but it's interesting how fate kind of intertwines people's lives together without people really connecting the dots until they start thinking about it. And I'm one of those people who like to go, well, it does make sense because Jesse James was known for having a hideout somewhere here in this area, and the Contrail gang worked with Jesse and his crew, and a lot of mom's side of the family during that time were judges or what the Contrail gang would call law dogs. Um, so yeah, the chances are pretty high for that to happen. Get out of here! What are you, gnat, fly, something like that? But it was kind of, things like that make me go, okay, that's odd. But yeah, my father's side of the family is very hard to trace. That's one of the reasons why when mom asked me if I wanted a Ancestry.com DNA kit for Christmas 2 years ago, I said, yes, please, just so I can have a better idea of my DNA results and where my DNA, where my ancestors could have come from because of the DNA results. Um, it's been scientifically proven your DNA has been passed down through the generations from your ancestors. Otherwise, nobody would have ancestral DNA. But it's been fun it's been fun looking through it and reading up and trying to get as much information about my ancestors as possible. I could get better information or get better records if I was willing to spend $150 to $250 a year for the premium membership through Ancestry. But anyhow, um, my last and final thing I wanted to talk about this evening before signing off is, as you guys know, I said this earlier in the video, and if you're a member of Jerry's YouTube channel, you've probably seen her talk about or heard her talk about going through and purging stuff and cleaning up stuff. Well, we got all the stuff out of the closet so we can clean up the closet and purge unneeded or unwanted clothing. And on the bottom of the closet stuff in the very back, back corner of the closet, was a little treasure trove. And I'm going to move the camera a little bit so I can get my little treasure trove out here to talk about. Now, I know some of you might think, why does an adult man have a certain kind of treasure trove? Well, as I talked in a video once before, I'm a big fan. I've been a big fan for half my lifetime or more, probably over 30 some odd years. Let's say about 35 years. So I must have been in my early to late teens when I discovered a graphic novel or comic book series called ElfQuest. And when I moved to New York and Joanne found out about my collection, she told me about her collection of Star Trek memorabilia. Well, I was never a big enough fan to get like more than just the comic books because ElfQuest didn't produce anything at the time for a large period of time, but nothing but comics. Well, a couple years back, we discovered that the designers or creators of ElfQuest was trying to start a line of collectible toys. And I found out about it and went, yeah, I'm buying those. I do not remember how much because Jerry-Ann was like, yeah, I'll get them for you. So I don't know what the original price is for these, but I'm pretty sure since they only did the 4 and they never made any more and there was only a small select making of these items are probably worth a lot of money on eBay. And no, I don't think anybody could afford the price that I would ask for these guys, because, well, let me show you the 2 that I would get rid of. If I were to get rid of any of these first 2 are the ones I would get rid of for a fairly reasonable price. But this is Tildak. He is one of the many characters from the ElfQuest series. There's the actual ElfQuest series. And let me just say that I would probably be willing to, if I were to give this up, and it's series 1, and I never saw any other series. But thank God series 1 had 2 of my favorite characters. Well, yeah, they're kind of my favorite, but I'll show you my absolute favorite one for last. If anybody were to ask me how much I'd be willing to sell these because they're a collector, let's just say Tildak himself would run close to $1,000. Picknose, or as everybody calls him, Picky, he's a troll. I'd probably get rid of him for about the same amount of money as Tildak, about 1,000, maybe 3,000. This next one, this is Lita. Yes, I named my cat after her. You guys would have to offer me close to $1 million for this lovely little lady. And this next one, he is one of my top 3 favorite out of the series. And before I even show him, I'm just going to mention his name. His name is Cutter. And he is literally the leader or chieftain of the Wolf Riders in the ElfQuest series. For this bad boy, you're going to have to offer me close to $3 to $5 million to take this one off my hands. Not that I would accept it, because they don't make these. These were one of a kind. They were supposed to put out Series 2. And if they had literally put out Series 2, the other one that I would not take for less than $3 million would have been Skywise. You might think I'm crazy or outrageous, but if you know collectors, especially ElfQuest collectors like I do, you can go on eBay and find those things for, a lot of money for those who had extras and want to get them off their hands. Collectors of any kind, Star Trek, Star Wars, oh man, you go on eBay and somebody puts a never opened vintage Star Trek figurine, the bidding war will be nuts. I've seen the bidding war on some Star Trek stuff on eBay when I was looking, and let me tell you, a vintage 1970 series Spock, Larry McCoy, went on eBay, and by the time they closed the bidding for that one, they give a certain time frame for biddings. When it closed, the person who bought that spent $1.5 million for that sucker. And I went, whoa, must be nice to have money to do that. But like I said, collectors will go out of they will basically hawk their mama's jewelry for something really good like that. And beings, other than a little dust on the boxes, they've never been opened. They've never been taken out of the package. Diane got them for me. I went gaga, and I was like, do I take it out of the package just to feel the contours and whatnot, or do I leave it in the package? And my wife said if we ever had to sell them, which I was at the time I was kind of like, no. But she said if we ever had to sell them for any reason, or if whoever inherited these things didn't know what they were and tried to sell them, they would be worth more money in well-kept condition. And we did everything we could to keep them in very good condition. But if you don't know what ElfQuest is or anything like that, let me know in the comment box, and I will try to give you a synopsis. I think I have the very first comic book up there. Well, it's a reprint of the original graphic novel. The original graphic novel came out, actually the original, the 1978 version of ElfQuest came out in black and white magazine style. Then when I started getting into ElfQuest and started collecting ElfQuest, it was in soft cover colored graphic novels. And then within the last decade or so, they were doing hardcover. I do not have any of the original black and whites because they were basically not available by the time I started getting into it. And a couple of my ElfQuest graphic novels I've had to replace due to Superstorm Sandy. But I got what I like, and I have kept them in fairly good condition. Anywho, if you enjoyed this little evening edition of my life, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and put it in the question comment box. And if you're new to my channel, and maybe with if I can get my description up properly and a good thumbnail, you guys can hit the subscribe button and then click on the little bell, and YouTube will let you know when I put in my next video. So until next time, you guys have a good evening. Good night. Bye.